Authorities in the US state of Texas are investigating Saturday's deadly mass shooting at a shopping centre as a hate crime. 20 people were killed and more than 24 injured. It has been described as one of the deadliest days in Texas history.
I got tired of waiting and waiting and waiting, and I just want to know where my mom is.
Normal day for someone to leisurely go shopping turned into one of the most deadly days in the history of Texas.
El Paso, where the city where the attack took place, is located on the border with Mexico. It is an entry point for many migrants crossing the border into the US. The authorities are looking closely at what appears to be the suspected shooter's manifesto published right before the attack, and in it, the author blames the government for what he calls the migration crisis gripping the US. Maupin now reports.
Reports that are not yet confirmed have identified the shooter as 21-year-old Patrick Crusius. Now, a manifesto is circulating on the internet, reportedly being the manifesto of Mr. Crusius, and it cites immigration and hostility and racism toward migrants and immigrants as being his primary motivation. Now, the manifesto lays out both personal and political motivations for this mass killing, this act of terrorism, and explains what kind of weapons were used. He goes into detail describing the rifle that he used to open fire at the Walmart. Now, the shooter blames both Democrats and Republicans for the inflow of immigrants into the United States, saying that, quote, the United States is rotting from the inside out. Furthermore, he says that at least with Republicans, immigration can be reduced, though he's highly critical of Republican policies. He expresses anger that, quote, Hispanics will take control of the local and federal government. And in his manifesto, he goes on a great tirade of racism, blaming immigrants for the problems facing U.S. society. And he says that he selected the site in El Paso, Texas, near the U.S.-Mexico border in western Texas, because it is a primary hub for immigration into the United States from South and Central America. And the shooter seems to have been primarily motivated by hatred for immigrants, and he has echoed the manifesto of the shooter in New Zealand who targeted a mosque.
This is one of New Zealand's darkest days.
Now, the local police have detained and arrested an individual who is the suspected shooter.
Hands up, hands up, hands up! Follow the line out there.
Eyewitnesses say that the shooting began outside the store, and the shooter then proceeded to go into the store and continue shooting. Now, the weapon identified is said to be a rifle. This mall area has been evacuated. It's a very large area, and there were quite a few people there, but it has been cleared. In addition, we understand that U.S. President Donald Trump and the White House are also taking action. We saw on Twitter U.S. President Trump confirming that he had spoken to both the U.S. Attorney General Barr as well as Texas Governor Abbott about the situation.
Maupin there. Well, US politicians are already pointing the finger at Trump, with a 2020 hopeful from El Paso calling the president a racist. Beto O'Rourke said that Trump incites hatred that leads to violence, with the massacre in Texas being a case in point. Alessandro Bruno, though, a political analyst, says that detractors will seize any opportunity to blame the president's migrant policy.
This will play completely into the hands of Democrats trying to criticize Trump for his migration policy. They will accuse him of fueling hate. And perhaps in some ways he has. But compared to what happened under Obama, I see no difference with the mass shootings. These shooters have different excuses. Evidently, they have personal psychological issues to begin with. I read the manifesto, and some of the logic is not, was surprisingly lucid. He saw what happened to Native Americans with the white invaders, the European colonialists, and he said he doesn't want this to happen to the current population or to the now European descendants. So he's going to take action to stop it. Someone with normal psychology would have taken a pen and paper and written an article about it.